Greetings of the day. I'm Hari Bhaskar, Assistant Professor, Department of Professional Management Studies. In this session, we are going to discuss about what is business forecasting and steps in business forecasting. So, business forecasting is the generally process of predicting future events, trends, or outcomes based on historical data, current conditions, and analysis. It uses both qualitative and quantitative methods to estimate future scenarios, and also it is for the individuals as well as for the organization to make informed decisions. So, what it means in the sense, forecasting is used for the purpose of predicting the future. How the future is predicted? It is based on the historical data as well as the current conditions. Not only the historical data, based on current conditions, the future is predicted. It uses different methods. It is classified into qualitative and quantitative methods. Based on the qualitative and quantitative methods, the future scenarios are predicted based on our forecasting methods. It is not only for the individuals as well as for the organization. Both individuals and organization using forecasting methods to make informed decisions. Informed decisions in the sense, based on the forecasting, whatever the result we are getting, that can be understood by all the individuals as well as the organization. Now we are going to discuss about forecasting methods. There are two types of forecasting methods, qualitative methods and quantitative methods. Under qualitative methods, based on the data, what kind of data we are collecting, we can go for either qualitative methods or quantitative methods. Under qualitative methods, we have expert judgment, that is one of the method. Under expert judgment, we will be getting the opinion and expertise from the experienced persons. Through that, we will make decisions. So here, we no need to go and collect data like a quantitative method. We just collect opinions from the experts, and the experts, based on the experts' opinion, will come to a conclusion whether we can go for this course of actions or not. That is called as expert judgment. And another method we have in qualitative method is market research. Under market research, we will be collecting the data from the markets based on our objectives. If it is a sales related forecasting method, then we can collect sales related data. Generally, this market research is done for the purpose of new product development or launch of a new product. For that purpose, we'll be using this market research. We'll be collecting data from focus groups or target audience. We'll collect the data, and that will be using it for the purpose of forecasting. And next, we'll be having quantitative methods. Under quantitative methods, we have a technique called time series analysis. In this, we'll be collecting a historical data. Based on the historical data, we'll be predicting the future. There are methods like moving averages, exponential smoothing, and ARIMA models. These models will help us to make predictions, and we'll be creating a trend. Through the trend, we are able to make the predictions for the future scenarios. And we have the next method under quantitative methods called as regression models. So here we will be having two variables, independent variable and dependent variable. Through independent and dependent variable, we will be creating a relation called y is equal to a plus bx. And through that, we are able to predict the future. For example, in y is equal to a plus bx, we have two components, y is as sales and x is as advertisement expenditure. If you have two variables like this, we are able to predict sales based on advertisement expenditure. So if you are having only one independent variable and one dependent variable, we used to call it as simple linear regression. Some cases we need more than one independent variable. In that case, we'll be calling it as multiple regression model. In that, there will be one dependent variable and more than one independent variable. Example, we are able to predict the sales based on advertisement expenditure, pricing of the product, economic factors. Like that, we are able to get multiple independent variables. If you are taking multiple independent variables, we will be calling it as multiple regression model. So these two models are used for the purpose of quantitative methods. So we are able to do the forecasting based on qualitative and quantitative methods. Now we are going to discuss about steps in the forecasting process. There are 5 steps. Step 1 is define the objective. Step 2 is collect relevant data. Step 3 is select the forecasting method. And step 4 is analyze the data and create the forecast. And step 5 is evaluate and refine. Step 1, define the objective. So for what purpose we are doing this forecasting process, that we need to define it. Example, we may predict sales of the organization in the future. So that our forecasting objective is sales forecasting. And step 2 is collect relevant data. To predict the sales, we need data related to that. It can be a past data and current situations related data. We need to collect it. In order to predict the sales, in the previous methods example, we have taken that sales can be affected by pricing, sales can be affected by advertisement expenditure, sales can be affected by other economic factors. So all these relevant data we need to collect it. That we are doing it in the second step. Step 3, we need to select the forecasting method. Previously we discussed about different methods of forecasting, qualitative and quantitative. Under qualitative methods, we discussed about market research, we discussed about expert judgment. Under quantitative methods, we discussed about time series analysis, we discussed about regression model. So based on the data, whatever we have collected, based on our objective, we can select which forecasting method we are going for. For example, here we have collected data related to sales forecasting. We have collected advertisement expenditure, we collected about pricing, we have collected about economic factors. So all these factors is going to affect sales. So since we have collected mostly the quantitative data, we can go for quantitative method. Either we can go for regression model or we can go for time series analysis. So this selection of forecasting method is done in the step 3. And step 4, we are going for analyzing the data. So once we selected about which method we are going for, we can analyze the data. For example, if you are going for time series analysis, we can go for method of least square. In least square method, we'll be doing based on regression model y is equal to a plus bx. Then all these data we can put together and we can create a regression model and we can analyze the data. Once we analyze the data, and we are able to do the prediction for the upcoming years 2025, 2026. Like this, we are able to do the prediction. Then after doing the prediction, we can go for next step called as evaluate and refine. Because not all the forecasting may be 100% accurate. So once we do the predictions, we can relate whether it is achievable forecasting values or not. Okay. Once we relate, we can come to a conclusion whether our forecasting process is end or not. If we are having some predictions that some unavoidable circumstances or uncertainty may happen, then we can make some changes in our result and we can refine, and accordingly we can again start the process, and we may go for quantitative instead of quantitative methods, we may go for qualitative methods. Again, we can proceed with our forecasting process. Like this, we need to go for forecasting process. Forecasting process consists of 5 steps: define the objective, collect the relevant data, select the forecasting method, analyze data, create the forecasting, at last evaluate and refine. These are the steps involved in forecasting process. In today's session, we discussed about what is forecasting, what are the different methods of forecasting, and we discussed about what are the steps involved in forecasting process. I hope this session is very much informative to you and you are able to make predictions according to your objective. Thank you.